I want to talk about something really brief today, and that is what healing is actually about. So, this is not a DNRS. This is very different than what DNRS would tell you, and that's the program I did. I don't know what Gupta says. But that's kind of why I'm making it, because a lot of people come to me after doing the first 6 months of DNRS, and they're instructed to just, live their lives, and that's their measuring stick for how well they're doing. And that is not what healing is. So when we do this, it's kind of like a house. This is the best analogy I can come up with, and it's really accurate, honestly. So imagine that your house needs to be rewired. So you have like the electrical wires. You have some things going haywire. And so you have certain things aren't working very well. Certain parts of the house, like, I don't know, the microwave isn't working, or the stove is funny, or like the clocks keep going off, or something like that. You've got lights that aren't working. So that's your its, right? Your symptoms, that sort of thing. There's a symptom of a problem. In order to have everything working properly, and anyone who's had work done on their house will know that this is always how it is, you actually have to go into, the electrical boxes, the attic, the walls of the house, like everything, and figure out what's going wrong and rewire it, reroute it, and possibly put new wires in. And that it involves a lot of pretty, my father was actually an electrician, so it involves a lot of, uncomfortable and literally like you're splitting wires. It's you've got to be careful. It takes work, it takes effort. And a lot of times what happens is that the house gets messier and less functional before everything is working and ticking perfectly. And that's the point, is to get to where everything works perfectly, right? Everything runs. Every time you flip a switch, it turns on. When you put the stove on, it works. When you use the microwave, it works. When you everything works. But again, beforehand, we've got to kind of go into the walls, and we've got to do the hair splitting, wire splitting, untangling, figuring out, diagnose where's the problem, which wall do we need to open up, is it the attic that we need to go in, do we need to dig below the house, which box is it in, which switch is it, there's so many aspects. And that's what healing is like. So when you start this process and you start to rewire your brain, for pretty much, if you're actually healing, things are going to get worse before they get better. Meaning you're going to be less functional at some point, or more uncomfortable than you were before you started, in order to get to that end. So, and I'm telling you this because, again, DNRS is all about the positivity, and obviously that's really important. I believe that honesty is positivity, and that people thinking that they should be getting better, and then realizing, wait, hold on, I feel like I got better, but then I got worse again, or I'm getting worse. It's not helpful to have that mindset that you just do the work and live your life and it's over, when in order to heal on a deep level, we have to go to where we have to go to that depth. We have to rebuild our foundation at some point, and it's goes throughout the recovery. No one knows what anyone's recovery is going to look like when we start. But that's a surprise. People a lot of times will be like, but I'm not completely better by 6 months, or this or that, or I'm actually less functional than I was when I started. But again, if you think about the house, you've got to go in there and actually fix what's actually wrong. And that means that there's going to be, days where most of the stuff in the house doesn't work, and that's okay, and that's normal, and that's necessary. And it's temporary, and it's part of healing. So I'm putting this out there as an encouragement, because a lot of people get frustrated or think they're doing something wrong, when in fact they're doing everything right. Because of the nature of my journey, I never even looked at things from that perspective. So I never really thought about this. I don't know, I never did. But for me, things got way worse before they got better, personally. And again, if you find this triggering, turn it off and come back to it when it's useful. But I'm offering this. I've not said this for a long time in an attempt not to trigger people, but I really feel like it's a disservice to those who are doing the work and being faithful and wondering, like, why am I getting slightly worse before I get better, or what's going on, and so forth. So that's a big part of it. That's the biggest analogy I want to leave you with. There's a whole, I mean, if you look at the science of what brain rewiring does for the body and the brain, the other thing, I'll just touch on this lightly because I think of it as a hardware thing. I really do. It takes time for our brain structure to change. It takes time for our body systems to turn back on once we're in relaxation chemistry. For your digestive system and your detox pathways to open back up, and for all the stuff to start to clear out. And part of it is all of this is happening in the context of life. So there's an ebb and flow to recovery, and so like you might get a few months where your body's like really able to turn back on and everything's kicking, you feel great, and then either something arises in your journey or life happens, and then you're back in kind of a more stress chemistry ebby kind of state for a while, and then things don't, the old patterns kick back in and your body doesn't maybe feel that great, but the progress is still there, and you can, once that ends, you go right back to where you were before that happened, back to that positive, more healed place. So your body's had a chance to get some progress going, and you'll go right back to that progress after an ebb. You'll just start, you'll be building on that foundation. But I realized with all of this, if you actually look at how long it takes, all the systems of the body to go through their various cycles, and how long it took us to get to the point where having these unhealthy patterns was creating so much dysfunction in our bodies and minds, it only makes sense that it would take a significant period of time to give our body and brain a chance to heal once we get into dose. And again, it takes time. I've said this before, I'll say it a lot more times, I'm sure. It takes time to build our own process and really get good at the process so we can be in dose chemistry, so we can start to heal, and then it takes time, and there's life and all of that. So it's so much more than worth it. And I'm only just saying this to help people, again, who are in a space where you're doing the work and you're just wondering because you were told you'll be better in 6 months, or maybe you have this idea from the community or from DNRS that progress means that I'm living my life more, that I'm doing all the things, that I'm able to be up and about. And that's not what progress is. Progress is what the process is about is, are you being true to your process? And that whole question is something that I go very in depth with people on calls. But the only thing that matters at the end of the day is you have this moment, you have love. How are you loving yourself right now? Nothing else matters. That's all there is. That's all there ever will be. All the other illusions of time and the fear of loss and all of the things they're illusions. That's all they are. So just come back to this moment, whatever's going on, and ask yourself, how can I love myself right now? How can I step into love? That's it. That's all that matters. So I just wanted to put this out there because a lot of people have felt confused or felt they were done a disservice by not having this information. So this is for you guys, and be encouraged that the process is beautiful and it's never what we expect, and it does end. It is temporary, but again, you got to go into the walls and find the problem. So that's my offering for you guys today. I love you all. I'll see you soon. Mwah!